Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today. Last week, actress Thandwie, or Thandie Newton, or whatever she calls herself, took to social media to create a teary video where she apologized to black actresses for taking their acting jobs and taking their opportunities at relationships with black men. Now, this video, as I saw it, was one that was extremely disingenuous and just showed how full of it your Thandwie, or Thandie Newton, actually is regarding her so-called apology. Now, this apology, as I see it, is one big insult to black actresses, and as somebody who has studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years and has written about the struggles of black actresses in my screenplay All About Marilyn, I can tell you that your Thandie Newton was just putting on a big show where she was looking to get attention for herself to stay relevant and throw up a big middle finger up at all of those black actresses who got opportunities denied from them because she was able to take those jobs from those sisters. Now, your Thandie Newton was able to get those jobs because she was one of these biracial black actresses from the UK. And the main reason why casting directors would go out here and cast a Thandwie Newton for their roles instead of a foundational black American actress is because many of those casting directors and producers know they could use your Thandie Newton to go out here and play that role and be able to promote the racist stereotypes they wanted to promote in their films without ever being challenged. It's no different than what they did with John Boyega, who was playing Finn in Star Wars and had no idea he was playing a bunch of stereotypes where he was playing a bumbling, stumbling janitor, and this was promoting stereotypes about black men. And what they do with someone like Thandie Newton is go out here and use her to play a role as related to passively promoting so-called diversity and representation, but aggressively they use her to breathe brand new life into old stereotypes like the black Jezebel, and then have her on screen being smutted out by your white men. So that's why they go out of their way to cast a Thandwie Newton over a foundational black American actress, is because they can go out here and get away with promoting all of their racist stereotypes regarding the image of black women, and because this foreign-born biracial black actress is someone who does not know black American culture, they go get her so that they can get away with promoting their stereotypes in shows like your Westworld or franchises like Mission Impossible. And because she doesn't understand the subtle politics transpiring around her, she can't see how she's being played for a fool and how she's being a pawn that is used by your white supremacists. And that's one of the reasons why they cast her, your Thandie Newton. The other is because they can go out here and hire her over a black American actress because she's light-skinned. Now, oftentimes in your Hollywood, they prefer to hire your biracial black actresses to represent black because they don't want to elevate the image of a foundational black American actress who is not only dark-skinned but also light-skinned as well. So your Thandie Newton allows them to have their so-called diversity without ever being able to give a job to a foundational black American actress. Now, your Thandie Newton arrogantly goes out here and talks about, oh, how she's sorry for denying these dark-skinned black actresses roles, but I just have to see that as an extremely disingenuous apology. Your Thandie Newton knew she had an advantage over darker-skinned actresses like your N'Bushy Wright and your Kimberly Elise and your Nia Long, her 90s contemporaries, but she didn't care about that back in the early 90s when she was out here competing for roles against your Kimberly Elise's, your N'Bushy Wrights, or your Nia Longs, or even other biracial foundational black American actresses like a Sally Richardson or a Halle Berry. And she didn't care about that because she knew that she had that advantage over those actresses because she was one of these foreign-born black women. And as that foreign-born black woman, she knew she had that edge with those white supremacists in Hollywood, and that's why I have to call BS on this whole apology, because when she was out here auditioning for those roles, she had no problem using that light skin of hers and that silken hair to her advantage. And she had no problem using that light skin and that hair to her advantage because she wanted to go out here and get those acting gigs and go out here and have that exposure out here when she was younger. And the main reason why she's coming out here with this disingenuous apology is because she knows that at 49 years old, her star is fading, and now she's desperate to remain relevant in the entertainment industry. And now that the roles are starting to dry up as related to those white films and those mainstream projects that she used to do, like Westworld and Mission Impossible, she's now looking to try to reach out to the black Hollywood and the black entertainment industry in the hopes of trying to score herself a couple of jobs as either the mama in the housecoat or as the older love interest in possibly one of these Tyler Perry movies. And she knows that she doesn't really have a lot of goodwill with black actresses because she has gone out here and undercut many black actresses for roles, and that's something that's got her really scared because now she knows that she's no longer relevant with white Hollywood, and now she's trying to desperately reach over to black Hollywood in an effort to get herself to be relevant in order to continue booking acting jobs. Now, the other part of your Thandwie or Thandie Newton's disingenuous apology was her sitting there and talking about, oh, how she was taking black men from black women. And I look at that and I have to ask a critical question. When were straight black men checking for you back in the 90s? Because I'm about a year younger than your Thandie Newton, and I'm part of the same generation as a Thandwie or a Thandie Newton or whatever she calls herself. And I can tell you that nobody was really checking for a Thandie Newton in the American black community. No, most of us brothers here in America, we didn't really even care that much about a Thandwie or a Thandie Newton. I mean, I barely remember who she is outside of Nicole Kidman's Flirting or your Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible. I mean, out of all of the black actresses that are out here, she is the least one I am even regarding as related to being an attractive female. And as I saw it, she was always average at best. I mean, when I think of Thandie Newton, she's practically somebody that I could care less about, and I could think of a dozen other black actresses that I was checking for back in the 90s, like your Halle Berry, like your N'Bushy Wrights, like your Nia Longs, and your Sally Richardsons. I was looking at those black women in addition to looking at your Tyra Banks and your Karen Parsons and other black actresses. But your Thandie Newton wasn't even a blip on the radar as related to black women that I would even consider to find attractive. Again, when I was thinking about your Thandwie or Thandie Newton, again, she's just average at best. And as related to being average, she's basically on the whack side of average because she, as I see it, has no real presence and no real personality. I mean, she just comes across as really, really bland as I see it. But she's thinking that, oh, black men were checking for her because she was a biracial with light skin. Well, there are a lot of actresses who are biracial and have light skin out here who have more personality and charisma than your Thandie Newton. And again, black men were not checking for her like that. So I don't know how she's sitting there saying how she took black men from anybody because black men were not interested in her whack ass at all. No, most black men weren't not even seeing her as anybody they considered, worth looking at. And she's sitting there talking about how she took black men. Well, you couldn't take anybody. And when we look at your family, clearly you were over there swirling it up with the white man, and you married the white man. So you're sitting there talking about, oh, I took black men from black women, but most of your relationships were primarily with white guys, and you were married to a white guy for almost 2 decades, and you've had a couple of children with that white guy. So I don't see how you're taking any black men from anybody, and all you're doing is showing me that your Thandie Newton is just another one of these washed up actresses who is desperate for attention, and she wants to come across with this really fake, teary-eyed apology, which is basically one big middle finger up at all of those sisters who were denied roles, all because she came out here with her British accent and her flowing silken hair and her little creamy white skin. That's what she was out here with, and what she basically wants to do is rub it in all of those sisters' faces who never got an opportunity to have a quality role due to the white supremacy and racism that are a part of Hollywood. Because many of those sisters out here, they, as I see it, were much better performers and deserved opportunities at those roles, but they never got those opportunities at those roles because of the white supremacists in Hollywood, in that media arm, who want to promote the idea that a biracial black woman is the same as a black woman, and want to promote the idea that you can substitute a biracial black woman who is foreign for a foundational black American woman and be able to fit her into a role and then use her to promote the narrative that your light-skinned biracial black woman is better than a foundational black American woman. That's what the narrative that they wanted to push in Hollywood, and your Thandie Newton had no problem being a part of that narrative as long as the checks were coming in. And your Thandie Newton, I find it interesting that she's sitting there talking about apologizing to black actresses for taking their jobs, but with all the money she made on all of these franchises and different projects, she has never gone out here and said, hey, why don't, to a casting director or a producer, hey, why don't you take this dark-skinned sister and cast her in a role on a project? Because if you have all of this influence, you can go out here and talk to producers and casting directors and say, hey, let's cast that dark-skinned guy or that dark-skinned girl in this role, and why don't we go out here and help out representation of dark-skinned actresses by talking to one of those producers. That's what an actress who has influence would have actually done. But your Thandie Newton didn't care to do that because she was out here being accepted by your white people and seeking that approval of those white people. And she was out here having a good old time swirling it up. And because she was swirling it up and having a good time with the white folks, she didn't care about those black, dark-skinned actresses who were foundational black Americans, because she had thought to herself she was an individual who was foreign, and she did not care about the struggles of a foundational black American actress and the opportunities that are denied to them, because she was getting those benefits and enjoying all of those benefits. Now, your Thandie Newton could have also gone out here and taken some of her millions and financed an independent project for a dark-skinned actress to be featured in, but she didn't do that at all. And again, showing me how disingenuous her apology is, because it doesn't cost that much to make a small independent film and get it out here. And if Thandie Newton was so concerned about the struggles of black actresses, she would have gone out here and financed said project featuring a darker-skinned black actress and given them an opportunity. Now, your Thandie Newton wants to go on and say, oh, in England she was considered dark-skinned, and I call BS on that, because I know what a dark-skinned black person is, and a dark-skinned black person all over the world, and she would always be considered a lighter-skinned person. And I also know about the struggles of light-skinned and biracial people, because I wrote about those struggles in my novel Spellbound. And as a light-skinned black man, I know that your Thandie Newton, again, is being disingenuous with her apology, because most lighter-skinned people, we don't have all of those privileges like people are trying, like your Thandie Newton tried to say in some cases. She's just trying to, again, be disingenuous because she used her light skin as a way to go out here and deal with the white supremacists in Hollywood, but she wants to make it look like it's black people were the ones who were giving her a hard time. But no, she enjoyed the benefits of white supremacy, and she enjoyed the advantages she had, but she now wants to again rub it in black women's faces, and that's what I say is BS, and it's just disrespectful. And most black women, they need to see the disrespect being shown to them by your Thandie Newton, and really, again, come out with a hard check on this female, because she's looking to stay relevant at your expense, and she's looking to go out here and stay relevant because she knows that she has gone out here and lost her popularity with these white folks, and at 49 years old, she's no longer the young hottie that they could go out here and swirl with. And now what she wants to do is try to transition over to the black community with this dishonest apology in the hopes of trying to get black people to still pay attention to her. But most black people, we never knew about her, and most heterosexual black men, we never really even cared about a Thandie Newton, because there was too many beautiful brown sisters out there that we were checking for back in the 90s. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, All About Nikki, A Fabulous First Season. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meets Clueless in this absolutely fabulous African-American 1990s teen sitcom. Get all 13 episodes of All About Nikki, The Fabulous First Season in paperback and e-readers today.